Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon. We're going to talk about AT&T and whether or not DC Comics, Crunchyroll, and Rooster Teeth, maybe Cartoon Network, whether or not they have anything to worry about in 2020. Because it looks like there's going to be a lot more layoffs, and part of this was planned and part of it has been sped up due to the current shutdown crisis. I think AT&T is going to use the opportunity to chop some heads, chop some divisions, and they're saying as much. They're coming out and saying that they're going to resize the company, that there are going to be layoffs. I think we're going to see more consolidation at AT&T, and could this be the end for DC Comics? Could this be the end for Crunchyroll as a standalone platform? Could they get rolled into HBO Max? We're going to talk about that. But before we do, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're at, 105, 106,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support, guys. It's really appreciated. All right, this coming from the Hollywood Reporter, had a friend of ours kick it over. AT&T unveils $5.5 billion loan amid virus crisis, touts strength of subscription businesses. They're literally banking on HBO Max to pull the company through this crisis, but they had to take out a loan. All these Hollywood studios are taking out loans to get through the coronavirus crisis. It's kind of crazy. We know Disney took out like $7 billion. We know Comcast took out some money. And here we go with AT&T, which is Warner Media, which owns a lot of entertainment outlets, including Cartoon Network and Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, DC Comics, and more. The company said Tuesday it would be sizing our operations to economic activity, a sign of possible layoffs or reduced investments. They're going to take the opportunity to trim the fat at this point. Look, they were saying last year, before the shutdown, before the crisis, that they were going to cut things in 2020, and now I think they're going to speed that up exponentially. John Stankey last year said no place is safe. There were no sacred cows. They're going to cut. So Warner Media owner AT&T on Tuesday said it struck a deal for a $5.5 billion loan, boosting its liquidity. All these companies are doing this. They're going into debt. They're going into debt just to stay afloat, because the movie theaters are closed down. Hollywood productions are grinding to a halt. In the case of Disney, they're super screwed, right? They're super screwed. They're super screwed because what does that even look like? What does that look like? I don't want to know what that looks like. But they're super screwed because they lost their theme parks, they lost their movies, and they lost their sporting events for ESPN. Pretty much everything Disney does depends on crowds of people. And they're really in a bad place. Now, AT&T has the most debt of all these companies. They have a massive amount of debt, and they were cutting back before this happened. So the fact that they're taking out more money now, the fact that they just switched out CEOs too, which is another, we saw this happen with Disney too, right? They switched out CEOs, and they've got HBO Max in the works. It's launching in May, and that is what they're depending on to save the company. They're betting heavy on HBO Max, and you know what? They might actually do it. We're going to talk about that. So they said the credit agreement with the Bank of America was for general corporate purposes. A term loan is a loan from a bank for a specific amount that has a specified repayment schedule. They didn't go to the debt market like Disney did. Thankfully, the telecom giant, which has the highest debt load among non-financial U.S. companies, was previously reported to be looking at possible short-term financing deals, yada, 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 and they struck a deal with Bank of America. Layoffs are coming. Consolidations are coming. You can guarantee it. Keep a close eye on all of these animation studios, comic book publishers that AT&T owns. Rooster Teeth, last year when things were better, because they have such a massive amount of debt, when things were better, they chopped at Rooster Teeth mercilessly. And right now I'm going to tell you, I have to agree with some other folks that are talking about it on YouTube, including Ethan Van Sciver, that DC Comics could be on the chopping block. I have to agree with this because, they're dead in the water right now. DC Comics, they can't ship new comics. And Diamond's not paying their vendors back. Well, they are, but very, very slowly. And Diamond's probably going to go belly up. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. at this point, because I don't see how Diamond can be shut down for a couple of months and then they come back to virtually no comic book shops. Again, very unfortunate byproduct of the situation going on right now. But DC Comics decided to pause Gen 5, pause Black Label, while they figure out what the hell is going on. So this is coming from Bleeding Cool. Diamond comic distributors' note last week about not paying publishers caused a lot of concern in the comic book industry, you think. Because the publishers don't get paid, the creators don't get paid. Books get tabled or canceled. It was the reason given to me more than any other that some publishers asked their creators to cease working on certain comic books right now. Diamond already announced they had shuttered their doors to new products. However, the announcement that payment for each received product would cease was taken much more seriously by publishers. One used the description to me that this was Diamond holding their comic books hostage. Now, DC Comics creators have been directly affected. Publishers asking creators to stop working on titles do not mean the comics were canceled. I think some of them are going to be. It depends on the publisher. IDW's pausing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe and maybe some other books. IDW is in a really bad place financially. I don't think they're going to come back from this one. And even if they do, can they get those creators back? You know, I don't know. I don't know if they can. With printing and distribution on hold, schedules were out the window, and there were only so many books the publishers could financially justify being completed ahead of publication. Yeah, a lot of printers are shut down too, because printing is considered a non-essential. It depends on the printer, depends on where they're located, but a lot of printers are shut down. I know DC's printer, the big printers in Canada, are shut down. You know, nobody's printing comics either. So Valiant was the biggest hit. I don't think Valiant's going to make it through this. Marvel Comics, IDW, Dark Horse, and Oni Press put books on pause. Okay, a number of well-funded publishers such as Bad Idea have paused publication. There have been staff redundancies at Diamond and Image Comics that have been cut back. So DC Comics is supposedly joining the big pause, and they're pausing 5G. 5G is a bad idea. 5G is what is rumored to have gotten Dan DiDio gone from DC. Now, for those of you who don't know what 5G is, basically, we're talking about DC rebooting yet again, but borrowing a page from the Marvel playbook in 2015, where we replace all the established characters with a more diverse lineup, and we do it all at once. And it's not going to play well, I don't think, to comic book fans. You can absolutely introduce more diverse characters to your universe in an organic way, but as I understand it, they were going to completely reboot everything and replace everybody at the same time, which Marvel did to catastrophic effect. It damaged Marvel very, very badly because fans were very upset that everybody was replaced at once. Again, you can get away with it in small doses. Better yet, just create new characters. Why do you have to repurpose? Why do you have to repurpose all these characters? Just create some new characters. But that's too hard. And when they do, they come up with Snowflake and Safe Space, right? When these comic book publishers come up with some new characters. So 5G's on hold. This might actually be kind of a godsend for them because maybe they can rework it into something decent. Who knows? But here's the thing. If DC is not creating content, and they're not generating revenue, AT&T is going to look at this and they're going to be like, hey, yeah, we got to cut some corners big time, and DC Comics isn't bringing in anything. Very, very easy cut. It's a very easy cut to make. I'm going to put that out there. Another easy cut to make might be Crunchyroll, or at least Crunchyroll as we know it. This we talked about in January. I was completely floored. We had a Crunchyroll staffer talking about the Crunchyroll offices in San Francisco. They've got this warehouse that they basically turned into a little mini Tokyo. Looks like it's like an anime convention. I have no idea what an office like this in San Francisco would cost. Okay, but I'm sure it's not cheap. I'm sure it's not cheap. And Crunchyroll, as I understand it, they took out the lease for this place before the AT&T acquisition, I think, before the belt tightening, and this would be another very, very easy cut to wriggle out of this lease or to sublet this to another company, because Crunchyroll Well, they had to jack their rates up too, right, to justify their existence. Crunchyroll's another potentially easy cut, because what's going to happen is AT&T is going to launch HBO Max, which already has a bunch of anime on it. They have a bunch of anime on it. They have Studio Ghibli coming to HBO Max, and Crunchyroll could just be a tab on HBO Max, like anime is a tab on Hulu. Like people subscribe to Hulu and, oh, there's a bunch of anime on Hulu. I could totally see, to save money, you just consolidate Crunchyroll into HBO Max and just be like, this is the anime section of HBO Max. We don't need separate operations. We sure as hell don't need this ridiculously expensive office in San Francisco when we're trying to cut money. We're trying to cut expenses. This is way too much. We could get rid of a good chunk of these people and just move them over to HBO Max to curate the anime department or the anime section on HBO Max. And that's basically where everything's going. If you see that the new CEO that they brought in is the former founder, one of the founders of Hulu, and Hulu has an anime section. Hulu has add-ons, and that's probably what's going to happen with HBO Max. He's being brought in to, spearhead this whole thing, and I could totally see them cutting loose Crunchyroll. I could see them taking Rooster Teeth and rolling Rooster Teeth into Cartoon Network Studios. That's one that we've heard might happen. That Rooster Teeth basically becomes part of or a division of Cartoon Network Studios. Same with Elation. That all of these studios just kind of work under the Cartoon Network's umbrella to create animated content for HBO Max. So all these divisions are going to be consolidated. And if I were AT&T, I'd look at this and be like, why do we need like freaking 95 different animation studios and comic book publishers and all of that when we could just have like one company handle the animated content? They came in and got rid of Machinima, like right off the bat. They took a lot of these, full screen and all these other divisions and they pared them down, consolidated. Warner Media, one of the first things they did was get rid of Drama Fever, which was one of Geeky's favorite streaming services, because there was no purpose of having a separate streaming service for K-drama when you can just throw K-drama onto another platform. And that might happen with Crunchyroll. Don't know for sure, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So they're pushing it really hard. They're going to give AT&T TV subscribers free HBO for a year with a 2-year commitment. This is kind of like Verizon with Disney, right? And they're talking about that, and I believe that it rolls right into HBO Max. AT&T has said that upcoming streaming service HBO Max, launching in May, will be part of any AT&T plan that currently includes HBO. It's a real marketing melange as AT&T pushes both of its newest offerings, AT&T TV and HBO Max. I don't even know what the hell AT&T TV is. It's something new. I guess it's streaming AT&T. Is it DirecTV? I don't know. We used to have DirecTV and we got rid of it. We cut the cord because it was too expensive. DirecTV was creeping up to like $100 a month for basic package, and it became too expensive. But yeah, apparently they're going to be pushing HBO Max really hard through this. So I don't know, guys. Some heads are going to roll in the next couple months, definitely, and I don't think any division of Warner is going to be immune to it. Hollywood is in crisis mode right now. You're going to see some weird shit we never thought we were ever going to see happen, including the potential end of long-standing brands. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.